Hi, Lila and Isaac and Sammy. I have some stories ready to read to you. They're Bible stories, and the first one is called The Birth of a Baby. One hot summer afternoon, Abraham was sitting outside his tent when three men walked up to him. Abraham welcomed the men. The guests sat down while Abraham told Sarah, his wife, to make a meal for their guests. Here's the picture. Abraham is the man with the white beard. While the three men ate the meal, they asked Abraham, "Where is your wife Sarah?" Abraham said, "She's in the tent." I think they lived in a tent. One of those visitors said, "I will come back next year and Sarah will have a new baby." Sarah heard the visitor when he said that, and she laughed because she thought she was too old to have a baby. The visitor said, "I do not know why you laugh, Sarah, because nothing is too hard for God to do." The next year, Sarah did have a baby. Sarah and Abraham named their baby, guess what? They named him Isaac. Sarah was so full of joy because she had a new baby. And Sarah said, who would have thought that I would have a baby when I was 90 years old? I think the father named Abraham really loved his new baby boy, didn't he? Yeah, just like your fathers love you. Okay, our next story is one that Jesus told. I used a little bookmark that Lila made for me one time when she was very little. This one is called Peace. And Jesus is the man right here with the sort of white robe. One day, Jesus saw a large crowd of people gathering to hear him teach. Jesus and his disciples went up a mountainside and sat down. The crowd of people came to him, and Jesus began to teach them. Jesus said, "When you are sad, God will comfort you. When you are hurt by someone, God will make you feel better. Happy people make peace with other people. When you try to do the right thing and people make fun of you, God will help you. God will bless you, and you will truly be happy." We know we can count on God. He's always there for us. Here's my next bookmark, and the title of this one is The Golden Rule. And this picture goes with a different story, but I like the picture. This is the one that goes with the Golden Rule. Jesus continued to teach the crowd on the mountainside. He told the people a very special rule. This is what Jesus said: "Treat people in the same way that you want people to treat you." That means that if we want people to be kind to us, we need to be kind to other people. The next story is called Jesus and the Children, and I have this bookmark that Lila made last year. So this is the picture that goes with this story. Do you see the children? Some people brought their children to see Jesus. They wanted Jesus to bless their children. The disciples were not happy. The disciples were Jesus' friends who followed him and helped him. They did not want the people to bring their children to Jesus. "Don't bother, Jesus," the disciples said. Jesus said to the disciples, "Allow the children to come to me. Don't keep them away. God's kingdom belongs to people like these children. You must be like these children to be a part of God's kingdom." And Jesus called the children to him. He took the children in his arms and hugged them. That story just reminds us how important children are and how much God loves you. The last story is called Zacchaeus. Here is a picture of Zacchaeus, who just happened to be a short man, and his job was he was a tax collector, which meant he collected taxes or money from the people. And people didn't like tax collectors in those days. Too often the tax collectors were not very honest, and they would tell people that they needed to pay more money than they really did, and the tax collector would keep the extra money. So they really weren't very kind, were they? That isn't an honest or a nice thing to do. So let's start the story. Jesus was walking through the town of Jericho one day. A tax collector named Zacchaeus was there in Jericho, and he wanted to see Jesus when he walked by. He was too short to see over the crowd of people. We can't see the crowd of people, but usually when Jesus came into a town, a lot of people came to see him and to hear him. He was too short to see over the crowd, so he ran ahead and climbed a tree. When Jesus got to the tree Zacchaeus had climbed, Jesus looked up and he said, "Zacchaeus, come down. I'm going to stay at your house today." Zacchaeus immediately climbed down the tree, happy to welcome Jesus to his home. Isn't it funny that he climbed up in the tree, and most people wouldn't notice someone up in a tree, but Jesus saw him. The crowd of people who were there to see Jesus that day were very unhappy with Jesus for being a guest of a tax collector. They didn't like it that he was going to go to Zacchaeus' home. They grumbled because tax collectors were known for being unfair. Zacchaeus heard what the crowd was saying. He looked at Jesus and made this promise: "Lord, I will give half of everything I own to the poor." In other words, people who don't have enough money, I'm going to give half of what I have to them. And if I have cheated anyone, I will repay them 4 times what I have taken. Zacchaeus felt really bad about cheating the people, and this was his way of showing that he asked for forgiveness. And he wanted also Jesus to know that he was a follower of Jesus, and he had been listening to him, and he wanted to be kind to other people now. Jesus knew Zacchaeus meant what he said. So Jesus said, "Zacchaeus, today you have been saved." Well, that's all the stories that I have for now, and I hope that this was fun for you. I wish I could hear you and snuggle with you when I read to you, but at least this way you can hear my voice and see the pictures, and I'll find some other books to read to you soon. I love you. Bye.